Hello everyone, this is Gosia from Cosmic Agency. How are you doing today? This is a short video, I don't think it's going to be very long, with some interesting points here and there recovered from our recent conversations with Swaruu. First I want to mention there is this big news coming out now about the black holes, and there is this picture of the black hole supposedly. I will actually make a separate video about the black holes. We talked about this subject in detail with Swaruu some time ago, so it will be very appropriate, but just very fast. Basically the photo is fake. I can say with full honesty and with full certainty that this photo that came out of the black hole is not real. The black hole cannot be really photographed this way, and it will be explained why. It's going to be a very technical video, which I don't even understand all the details behind it. Swaruu will explain quite well the astrophysics of the black holes reality, so it will be understood more. But that video a little bit later. Now. Another subject, sometimes I don't remember how much I told you in the English channel and how much I actually said in the Spanish one, so sometimes if I repeat myself, forgive me for that. I don't know if I mentioned about the memory, how memory actually works in the 5D. They remember about three lifetimes. Not like here that we don't remember any lifetime. Sometimes people do, but the majority of us don't. I don't remember any lifetime beyond this one. They usually remember 3 last lifetimes, and the last one, it seems to them, it feels to them like it happened 10 years ago. Then another one before that, it seems to them, it feels to them like it happened in their childhood. And then the third one, it was like in the dream. And sometimes they use the instrumentation, the technology, to pinpoint exactly what their last life was and where and as who. They can actually do that. They use the memory, of course, as I said, they use the instrumentation. And they use their feelings, because as they say, the feelings die the hardest. So even if the memory fails, there's always the feeling of remembering something, and there's this maybe strange love towards something or someone, and that's memory. That's memory also. The problem here, she was explaining sometimes, is telepathy, because they're highly telepathic and they can basically feel the other person, become the other person. So sometimes it feels like maybe it was them in another incarnation, where in fact it has nothing to do with them. It's just that they have tuned in and telepathically downloaded the other person's feelings. So it might feel like it was them in another reincarnation, because don't you forget, they there can actually interact with themselves in another incarnation. So yes, and Swaruu even said that even feelings in this process could be compromised by the telepathy. So in this case, when they are feeling they were another person, and it might have been, and it might be because it's a telepathic download of the other person, then they rely on instrumentation, or they rely on cross-checking, with the memory of the other person. So the other person they are interacting with, that might have been them in another lifetime, that person also has their memory, so they are cross-checking each other's memories. And here she said a very like a strange, funny structure to us. You can check it with the living components of your reincarnation cycle. So for us it sounds very strange, living components of the reincarnation cycle. But yeah, I told you, their incarnation cycles happen simultaneously because time works differently there. So yeah, you can check who you were, you can check it with the living components with another person of your cycle. So it's just quite interesting, curious facts. Now the next curious fact, here we talked about chemtrails a little bit, and I will make a separate video about chemtrails too. It will be actually translated from Robert's videos. Actually, I'm going to translate a lot of Robert's videos because he has very interesting material in his channel too. So be patient, and so much more to come, as I always say in each video. So chemtrails. What's interesting about the chemtrails that usually we think they are produced by our planes, and we assume that because we see them. What's the name? The strobes coming from that aircraft, and we assume it's ours. In fact, that's not always the case. There are actually ships with systems to look like airplanes. And actually here Swaruu says most of the ones that spray are not airplanes. They are our ships. What, I'm not sure if ours, it means Taygetan exactly, or the Federation. Ships with systems to look like airplanes. It is said that if something has strobes, it is an airplane and not a UFO. That's false. Almost every member of the Federation uses strobes in large and small craft. Not only that, the hunting ships that we have and the ones Antaria and Centauri have are also equipped with transporters that identify them with whatever is convenient. So they are their ships, and one of their jobs is to actually neutralize the negative effects produced by the negative chemtrails done by the cabal. It all has to do with the ascension process. It actually has to do with the artificial intelligence as well. So more about chemtrails to come. This is like just a summary of some points that we talked about here and there. Next subject. I know you have more questions about the chemtrails, but be patient. More will be revealed. Next subject maybe is a little less serious, but it's a fun subject that we talked about. And it's actually about the unicorns. Do they exist? Do these magical creatures actually exist? And where do they come from? So, yes, they are actually real animals. They exist in 5D only. However, the whole mythical element and associations behind them, that was added on by the humans. That's what Swaruu said. They are actually kind of horse-like animals with the horn, but usually they have two. Different colors, just like horses here on Earth. So let me just read you what she says. Yes, they exist, but it's not like what you think. They belong to the horse species family. It's not just one species; it's a lot of species, and they have those horns of different forms. Usually two, not one. And they exist only in 5D. They don't exist on Earth, but probably they did existed at some point in the past. And they come in all different colors, but just like horses do. And here Aneka, she was present in the conversation, and she makes jokes. She said, okay, so they come in all different colors. So as you know, not pink and not purple. Not like, the mythical fantasy creatures, pink and purple. Aneka is a very serious girl. She's head of their intelligence service operations, and she's a programmer. So she's very, 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 very intelligent, highly intelligent, but she also has a playful side, and we love that about her very much, by the way. So she says that there are two horns. As it is to be expected. She says, as it is to be expected, and is not very long. So I asked, why, what do you mean, as it is to be expected? I didn't expect that. And Aneka says, because to have one goes against the biological symmetry. And then I wasn't sure what she means, so I said biological symmetry, but we have only one nose. How do you explain that? Well, then Swaruu says, you have two vents, and they are two stuck, genetically speaking. That's why many people have a gap between the holes. And then I said, yeah, but we have one liver. And then Swaruu says, yes, one spinal cord, one heart, one hypothalamus, one pineal gland. So why doesn't the biological symmetry apply there to have two? And Swaruu explains, It applies in a more specific way within the structure of the same organ that seems to be only one. Like, for example, with the heart. The heart has two ventricles, therefore they are two in one. So that's about it, about the biological symmetry. I also explained that here the unicorn is a symbol of, it's a metaphor of, following your dreams, believing in your instincts, in your inner magic, and the innocence of the child, etc. And she says, yes, that's all fine, but it has been basically added on by the humans later on. Here they are just more horses. They're just horses with horns. So that's it. That's it about the unicorns. The mystery solved. Now, about the reptiles, going from the unicorns to the magical creatures to the reptiles. Actually, I want to say something interesting about the reptiles, which I discovered last year, talking to them. As we know, they have been oppressing the humanity, etc. We all know about that. However, something new that I didn't know is the fact that they are actually the oppressed race themselves. And I do want to talk about this more in a separate video about the Reptile Society. I'm very excited to maybe share with you later on details about their society and their caste system. Because as I found out, they are actually more oppressed in some cases than even humans are. I didn't know that. So this is what she says here about them. We cannot go against the entire reptile population, since they are as much or more controlled and exploited than the human population itself. I asked by who? She says they are exploited by their own government. With system of 7 castes, with the ones who are below slave work, and so on, until arriving at the highest level of the white Kingu. Kingu, this is how reptiles call themselves. So the highest level we have the white Kingu, and they exploit the lower races to work for them as slaves. The exploitation in the middle levels of that system of 7 is comparable to the humans of the earth. The repression to which they are subjected is equally tyrannical. So that's very interesting. I don't know more about this at this point. I have to go back to the conversations in detail and make a separate video about this, but I definitely didn't know that. So yeah, this doesn't mean, by the way, that they are justifying their action. They are still fighting them. They are their nemesis, as they always say. They don't agree with the oppressions and control and manipulations done against the humanity, and they are doing their best to fight against that. So it's not justification, by the way, in any way. Now, the last subject, this is going to be a very fast video. Oh no, it's not that fast actually, it's 14 minutes. So, the last subject is about their languages. I did talk a little bit about their languages, but actually here I'm not going to talk about their languages. I'm going to talk about a few details about languages on Earth in general. Did you know that the Nepali Sanskrit is actually the Andromedan language? This is the closest language to the extraterrestrial language, and it's Andromedan. It's basically, she said, Nepali Sanskrit is humanized Andromedan. There are many other languages on Earth that have the extraterrestrial basis. Of course, as we know, Japanese and Navajo, especially Navajo, that's Taygetan connection, very strong connection. But there are a lot of languages that have roots in the extraterrestrial societies. Interesting, the Andromedan language up there in the universe, it's a kind of like English here on Earth. It's a universal language, and from what I understand, all the species talk Andromedan. It's a shared common language, like English here on Earth. So they use that apart from, of course, telepathic connection concepts, and these are universal to all races. Yes, and she also says here the Nepali Sanskrit has been very little modification. It's basically humanized Andromedan, just without telepathic charge. English is actually Proto-Reptilian language. Yes, it's a reptilian language, but very changed now. That language has changed a lot. Also the German, because it comes from the same branch. So logically it has roots in the reptile language as well. I have to go because my battery is dying right now. I have very few seconds. So thank you very much. The next video will be also very interesting, more interesting than this one, I think. So until next time, bye!